It's already week 5, the last week of the program. I'm very happy that my parents are coming next week, so I'll have one more week in Amsterdam because I can't say bye to my gorgeous city and view yet. Today we had our discussion, it's Monday. Today we had our discussions on transgender, transsexualism, and we heard from Micah, from Joss Meggins, and I forget our last speaker's name. I think it was Carl. So we're gonna go with Carl. It's not on the syllabus. So afterwards, everyone was sort of discussing the medicalizing terms they were using, and I'm very used to that separation between it's society's fault versus the person's fault, I guess. I mean, right now my majors are gender and health, and I'm between, originally I was biopsychology, cognition, and neuroscience, so I came from half of a very medicalized field. And so that wasn't very surprising to me. I was surprised that they kept using the word diagnose, just because while it is on the DSM, I would expect a gender clinic to be more progressive than that, I guess. But either way, I definitely wasn't as shocked, and I've learned to sort of just combine the two thoughts. But in general, I thought that the two discussions were more different in other ways than just medicalization versus philosophical. I mean, you could see that Micah really doesn't, she said she doesn't use trans women, I think, often, because she doesn't like to exist in the binary, whereas Carl very much does. So that's one thing. My next thought, I really liked that Carl spoke about his transsexualism as a timeline, as it being something that was in his past. It was his background, and honestly, that makes sense. I guess you could almost say that actually transitioning with surgery, the surgical part and the hormone part, it's like a second puberty. It's when you really come into your gender and your if you are a sexual being, into your sexual beingness. And we talk about puberty like it was in the past. It's not I'm not a pubertified woman. I'm just a woman. I know pubertified isn't really a word. I just think it works for the context. So that was one thing. And my last thing is that we were discussing Carl as an advertisement and as this perfect thing. And I totally understand that it's our job as feminists to think of the minority. But I think it made perfect sense that they brought in someone that was the perfect advertisement, because as far as I'm aware, most trans people that are passing are in the binary. So it's, or live in the binary. And I think one question we have to ask is, why is that so bad, right? Why is living in the binary so horrible? Most of us in the class are in the binary, live within the binary. And so to sort of look down on a guest lecturer because he happens to be trans that does live in the binary, I think is a little hypocritical of us, I guess. Anyway, see you tomorrow. So today is Tuesday. We heard from Miriam on intersexualities and Conrad from the ASCD Foundation. Today I'll just be talking about Miriam's lecture. I thought it was very interesting because when asked if she thinks that that intersexuality, the intersex as a role or a identity in the LGBT soup, she said, well, really, we just needed a place with resources and a voice that would listen to us. And just the way she described it, I mean, it's definitely not the way every intersex person feels. made it seem a little ungenuine. I thought that was very interesting, just considering how many conversations we've had on who does belong in the LGBT acronym. I don't remember if I brought it up or she brought it up, but maybe like adjusting for like differences in the kinds of rights that people are asking for. So the difference between social rights, which would include benefits from the state, and medical rights, like those that intersex are asking for, or transgender individuals are asking for in their surgical processes, as in not being sterilized. But so I think it's interesting that we keep lumping them together, because I think they are two very, very separate things. Not that either is more important than the other, but that they're not similar, and that could be another way of breaking up the umbrellas if you wanted to. Another thing that Miriam kept saying was that when she came out as intersex, like she would come out to her friends and her family, and I thought that was particularly interesting. I'm not familiar with the entire like history on the term coming out, but I found it just surprising, because when I think of intersex, while it does come with like connotations of gender construction, it is medical in origin, and I don't understand why. Like, I guess in my head, because I'm not intersex, to me it's more, I think of that as disclosing a medical condition. Sounds harsh, but it's disclosing a medical fact about your body, and I think that's different than coming out in terms of sexuality. But I don't know, it popped in my head, so I'm sharing it here. I'm not saying I'm right by any means, it's just that was how my thought process worked throughout the lecture. I really enjoyed her lecture today. I've been interested in intersexualities for a while. I did a research paper on it in senior year, and then again in high school, and then again in college, but I've never actually had a chance to have a lecture on intersex from an intersex person, as far as I'm aware. So I was really, really interested in today's lecture, and I'd love to discuss with her more about the I role in LGBTQIA. See you tomorrow. Hi, so because I wasn't feeling very well on Wednesday, in this vlog I'm going to talk about Pride events, and then in my concluding segment I'm going to discuss concluding like the entire trip and my thoughts on that. So for Pride, I went to multiple events. I did the Pride Walk last week, and then I went to Viva La Vie on their reopening night. I stopped by the concert at the Dom, and I obviously did Canal Pride. It was such a different experience than being in America, because it really becomes an entire weekend. It takes over the city, which was just so, so cool. And I mean, even the week leading up to Pride, I saw more gay couples holding hands, and that might be because of Pride, might be because they were tourists, it might have been because my eyes were more open, but that was my perception of it. And then I was very aware of the capitalism during Pride, just because that wasn't our scavenger hunt, and so it became much more noticeable to me, which I think is good. I think it's always good to be aware of the systems working in any given circumstance. That being said, I understand why they are set in place for an event this big. I really, really liked the night at Viva La Vie. It was a block party, and it was really cool. One, just to see how many women showed up to this, amazing space that had been closed down, but reopened just for them, and you could really see the women taking that space. We had a great time. I don't have much political thought on any of it, just because it was a fun event. There was nothing that I was heavily analyzing, except the fact that there were lots of men there, but then I was like, okay, well, I'm here too, and I'm straight, so that was my only thought. I don't have anything analytic to say on the matter. Same with Canal Pride. I mean, we have the capitalism there, but that's about all that I saw. You saw a lot of tourists standing and watching, not really know what to do. Like, my parents that are here for the weekend didn't even know Pride was happening this weekend, even though they knew that my last weekend with the program was Pride. But sort of, they really enjoyed their time too. I guess I'd say that my main takeaway is how much of an experience it really is here in Amsterdam versus in America. In America, it's a event on the weekend that a lot of people go to for their Instagrams, and people were definitely taking Instagrams, here, but it washed over the city in a way I've never experienced before, and I'd love if that traveled back to America, but yeah. This vlog is really short just because I really wasn't. I was trying not to overthink the entire experience and enjoy it and learn from the atmosphere. But at the current moment, I have nothing profound to say. I'm sorry. So I'll see you in the next vlog where hopefully I'll have some more to say about everything I've learned from the program. So it's the last day of the trip. It's been a very long and a very short 5 weeks. I've learned so much, and I can tell because I've struggled with so many different concepts in these last 5 weeks, from separatism to white feminism, radical feminism, LGBT acronym, and more. And so I know that I've learned something or that I'm still learning something if I've been really grappling with it, and I definitely have grappled with all of these topics these last 5 weeks. This coming semester I'm taking perspectives on feminist thought, or maybe it's just called feminist thought, and reproductive policy, so I'm going to use everything I've learned in this experience as I go into those ones, and I'll continue forming and shaping my own opinions and thoughts, because one thing that I have learned from this experience is that I have very solid opinions that are rooted in some not great ideas, and so I'm trying to rework those, and so during this trip I've been trying to be flexible in my opinions, but I want to have a stronger stand on a lot of finer feminist issues. So hopefully that's what I'll be doing in the next semester. Of course, an educational experience is never done, though. This trip was not like I expected it to be whatsoever. From the people to the speakers, I got a very new idea on what feminism is, mostly because my classes are white, and even if we mention non-white things, it's like we have to, because second wave feminism didn't. And I think it's getting better. It really depends on the class. There's a plane, sorry. But okay, so that's a lot. I guess in my lectures we really do discuss other issues, but in our discussions, because you really have to speak from experience in a women's studies class, and because we're all white, that's when it becomes a white discussion. Going to the speak out that we went to, the non-binary and women's only speak out, also really opened my eyes into hearing the non-white middle class cis perspective. But so that speak out really opened my eyes to the anger in feminism, and I wrote back when in my essay for this class about how we need to be angry, and I've always thought that I was angry, but I'm nowhere near as angry as other people on this planet. And I think if I, like I said in my essay, if I want to be a better feminist, I need to get more on their level, and that that starts with more education. I want to thank Stephen and Jess for this wonderful experience, for pushing me to argue better and to think harder, and for letting me explore the city of Amsterdam. It was gorgeous. I'm excited to stay another week and show my parents everywhere that I loved, and hopefully come back in a few more years and show other people. So thank you, and have a good rest of your summer too.